while ago, I did a live video about chronic illness and having ankylosing spondylitis, which I've been diagnosed with and I'm living with. And as part of that, the chat kind of developed into more like sort of mental health issues and how mental health is linked to having a chronic condition. So I thought I would do this video. So basically, this one is all about mental health and how it links to chronic illnesses, autoimmune conditions, and basically any condition that just is over medium term as well. It can be those sorts of things. So mental health issues, I want to touch on things like, sort of anxiety, whether it's short-term anxiety, acute, as it were, anxiety, or long-term, also depression, sort of leading into, depressive states, and then, maybe even further than a depressive state, as it were. And so how I want to start it is that there is quite a large percentage of people that have chronic illnesses, chronic conditions, that then go on to develop mental health issues, the most common being anxiety and depression. I am one of those people that went through that, and I'm not like ashamed to say it or anything like that. I talk openly about it now. When it first happened, I didn't talk openly about it at all. I shut away, and I didn't know what to do, and I had somewhat of a breakdown as such. So it happens very, very easily without you realizing you're kind of going into this new mental state effectively. And one of the reasons that one of the kind of issues that I want to focus on is pain and its link with mental health. Because if you've got a chronic condition that causes you pain, whether that's, short-term pain, long-term pain, it sort of nags at your body constantly. And that nagging at your body can lead to your body effectively going, no, I don't want any of this anymore. I don't know what to do. So it creates a fight or flight situation. Now, if you're not aware of the fight or flight situation, it's literally when your body goes into, when you have a crisis in front of you, your body kind of does one of two things. You either hit it head on, that's the fight, or you basically run away from it, that's the flight. Now, each one of those, your mind, your brain and your body works differently towards. So what it can do, in my case, I basically hid away. I couldn't deal with it. So that's the flight side of things. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I actually realized that I can be in the fight mode, and then, I could move forward with it. You can move forward either way, with fight or flight. You just got to find your path, your right path. So pain, as I said, can be chipping away at you constantly. And what happens is, if you're in that much constant pain and you can't kind of get rid of it, eventually your brain, it wears you down, and your brain also gets worn down, as it were, and all your energies are spent trying to, combat the pain. And there's like receptors and things and signal things in the brain that send messages all around your body saying this isn't the state that your body should be in. And what that does is increase something called cortisol in your body coming from your brain. And that cortisol is the kind of key like ingredient, as it were, that kicks off mental health problems. Having high level of cortisol constantly will just put your brain into a low mood. It's simple as that. You need a balance of cortisol or very low levels to actually kind of function properly. And so your brain effectively goes into a low mood state. Once it's in that low mood state, it's an easy spiral to kind of, sort of go down. Like when I was initially diagnosed with, it was called severe depressive disorder or something. It's basically depression. But once I got diagnosed with it, I just went like downhill quite quickly. I was put on medication. And initially, the medication, they said it could take, up to like 3 months to work. And I was like, wow, okay, that's a long time. Do I need to find anything else that can help it, go along? And they said things like, getting outside, exercise, all this sort of thing. Sunlight, having sort of multivitamins and stuff like that. Basically giving your body and your brain the best chance it can possibly have to help combat or at least manage, say, depression. But it is an easy spiral to go down, and it's a very difficult spiral to get back up from. So if you imagine it as a slide, sliding down, easy. Getting back up again is a little bit more difficult. So I was diagnosed in 2018 for depression and anxiety, which was a year after I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. And during that time, the pain from the ankylosing spondylitis was just getting higher and higher, which caused the depression to actually kind of kick off, as it were. Now, I still have the depression and the anxiety. They're medicated quite heavily, so I can manage them. But my life still has, dips where I, kind of just go quiet. I shut people out and don't talk and kind of go into my own little bubble, which is where I see my safe kind of zone. And I'm happy with myself in my little safe zone. And that's one of the key things. Was when I was first diagnosed with it, I would go into my bubble, but my bubble was shutting everybody out, and it wasn't a good bubble. Now I can effectively go into my bubble. It's short term, and I can go, right, okay, my bubble is a positive thing because I'm using it to get back to where I need to sort of increase my the mood in my brain, basically. So it's really useful to have something like that, a little bubble, like a little mental bubble, that's a positive place. I know a lot of psychologists and counselors say, find your happy place. They're absolutely right. That little bubble there was my happy place, still is. And I use that still relatively often, once a week maybe. And it's absolutely fine to use for me. With the anxiety side of things, I struggle a little bit with that. So I kind of just quite I socially awkward. So I'll in a group of people kind of thing. I'll either just stay in the corner and not say anything at all, and stay out of the way. And I just don't like people. I'd much rather have my cat here and my dog and stuff like that. And I can't deal with a group of people like that. But if people come round and I get introduced to someone, I will still be quiet unless I'm asked something, and then I'll blurt out something absolutely ridiculous. And I can't seem to control that. I'm socially very, very awkward, and I can't think of any way to get around that. So I just kind of accepted it as it is, which is actually an interesting kind of segue into acceptance. Is when you do get diagnosed with a mental health issue, you do go through the stages of grief. Now, the weird thing about these stages of grief is that when you grieve for someone else that has passed away, for example, you grieve for them because they're gone. It's simple as that. And you miss them. With being diagnosed with anything like depression, what can happen is you grieve your old self. So your old self, the fit and well self, effectively, has gone. And you're like, oh, I miss that old person. So you go through those 5 stages of grief. Now, the first one, of course, is denial. I'm guilty of this. I know some of my friends, that I know. Sorry, I can't stop the bit. There you go. Part of my brain fog. Thank you very much. There's another one. Cannot stop it. Sorry. If you don't like the ums, feel free to carry on. Okay. And so, with that being said, anybody that is sticking around and can put up with the ums, thank you. I do appreciate it. I don't particularly appreciate being pointed out, because I'm totally aware of it, and it's something that I am now going to try and not do, and I'm going to sound like a real robot, and it's going to sound really, really odd. So thank you. But it's part of the problem that I have, hence the reason why I'm speaking live about chronic illnesses, conditions, and mental health. Okay, so moving on. The stages of grief being denial. I was totally guilty of that. And I just thought I could carry on and push through it. And I couldn't. It's simple as that. I could not. And it eventually got worse and worse and worse. And it's like a balloon that gets blown up, too much, and then bang, and it goes. So I did go through that stage of denial. The next stage was bargaining, which I didn't really kind of go through myself. Some people do, some people don't. Some people just go straight through to different stages. And the next few, I can't even remember the third stage, or the fourth stage. Again, sorry, this comment here has put me right off my stride. I do apologize. In fact, sorry, at Dunker Squad, you've put me off completely. I'm going to stop the live there. I can't. You've put me off, mate. And yeah, I might come back at another time. All right. Cheers then, mate.